Right. So SQL stands for structured query language. Okay. Right. You started with data. So what is a data? Data is nothing but collection of information. Okay. It's nothing but a measures. Okay. All right. So database is nothing but organized manner to store the data efficiently. Okay, so to efficiently store this data properly, we need a mechanism. Okay, mechanism to organize efficiently. Okay, so to maintain this, we have DBMS. So data base management. Okay, so this is nothing but a software to maintain the databases. Okay, all right. Uh, so with the schema, what is a schema? Schema is the design of the database, tables, columns, keys, etc. Okay. So all together you call it as a schema. Okay, that means this is your schema. So what you see here is called schema, like database have tables, tables will have columns, columns will have index, foreign keys, all those things, right? So the design of all those things, how everything works together is nothing but a schema. Okay. Now before you do any kind of writing the code, you start with normalization. So normalization is a process of reducing redundancy and maintaining integrity. Okay. So it's a process of reducing redundancy and maintaining duplicates. Two things are very important in normalization. Reduce as much duplicates as possible. Okay. By splitting the table. Okay, and one table should give one kind of information. So for example, you can store all this in a single table, but if you store it, you will start getting duplicates. So instead, you split the tables and store each one in a different table. So if you go to customer, you will only get customer details. You will not get any other details. So that is the isolation. So integrity part. Okay. So why we need to do like that? To maintain, to reduce the duplicates. So if you combine customers with the payments, one customer can do multiple payments. So start duplicates will start happening. So in order to avoid that, you isolate the customer separately, payments separately. Two different things. Okay, so that process is called normalization. Okay, so there are multiple forms of normalization starting from 1FN, 2FN, 3FN, and etc. You can go up to 7FN. So the third form of normalization what we have is called Boy's code normalization. Okay, so this is where you start getting composite tables. Okay, so in the second form of normalization, you start getting foreign keys. Okay, so here in the third form of normalization, you start getting composite tables and the keys. Okay, so what is all those things we'll discuss. Okay, so that is normalization. So normalization leads to a concept called keys. Okay, so there are seven types of keys. One is the super keys. So what is the role of a super key? Is to uniquely identify a row in a table. So if I have this table, okay, if I have those table, how can I uniquely identify a particular row? So I can use this customer ID. If I put 7, I'll get only this row. I'll not get any other rows. Okay. So those kind of columns are called as super keys. So under the super key, you have primary key. So what are the properties of primary keys? No duplicates, no null values. Okay. Null values are nothing but empty values. Okay. No duplicates and no empty values. Okay. Now, it is a secondary key. So one table can have only one table can have only one primary key. You cannot have multiple primary keys. So the keys which has same properties of primary key, but it's not a primary key. So those columns are secondary key. Okay, here if you take this email address, so email address is unique for each one of them, but it cannot become a primary key because this one has become a primary key. Customer ID has become a primary key. So by default, this email address will become a secondary key like that. Okay. So then you have candidate key. So what is candidate key? Columns which are eligible to become primary key or all candidate keys. Okay. So this column and this column both are eligible for primary key, but I can choose only one. Okay. So both can become candidate key. Yeah, like that. So then you have unique key. So what is a unique key? So no duplicates, but can accept null values. Okay. So those are unique keys. Then you have surrogate keys. So what are surrogate key? So columns which are auto-generated or external or coming from external source. External source. So for example, Aadhaar card, all those things. Okay. So these are normal keys. Then you have foreign key. So these are relationship keys. So what is relationship keys are used for? So they are used for establishing connection between two tables or more tables. So foreign key is nothing but when a primary key from one table goes to another table, that becomes a foreign key. So what is a composite key? Composite keys are when two or more columns together become primary key and individually they are foreign keys. Okay, so those are called composite key. So foreign keys are used for doing 1:1 and 1:n or n:1 relationship. Composite keys are used for doing n:m relationships. Okay. So basically there are three types of relationships. So one is to one, which is 1:1. One row to one row. So it's always rows. Don't confuse with columns. Okay. So 1 is to n or n is to 1 or 1 to many or many to 1. Okay. Okay. So that is like one row to multiple rows. Okay. So n is to m is many to many, that is multiple rows to multiple rows from different tables. Okay, so those are the three relationships. Okay, alright, so those are the theory concepts. So far, any doubts? Anything which you did not understand? You can do one thing like, so MD file is not working. So you can copy this and go to this Python file, create a markdown, paste it. You will get it as a notes like this.
Interview purpose ಇದೆಲ್ಲ theory part ಇದೆ important.
Mhm. They will ask you.
ಇಷ್ಟು best ಆಗಿ prepare ಆದ್ರೆ.
So whatever I am giving is like just letting you know all these concepts are there, and you can answer all this question. ನಾನು ಏನು ಬರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನೋ ಹಂಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಏನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಬಟ್ ಗಿವ್ ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್. ಓಕೆ,
ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಪ್ರಾಪರ್ ಆಗಿ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಸೊ ದಟ್
ಸೊ ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಕೀ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ನ ಐ ಗೇವ್ ಯು ದಿಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್, ಕಸ್ಟಮರ್ ಐ ಡಿ ಇಸ್ this is a secondary or both together or candidates. So ಆ ಥರ ನೀವು
ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ಸ್.
So theory is where they will always ask you on the oral part
with example.
So oral ಅಂತ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ ಲೈಕ್ verbal interview ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇತ್ತಂದ್ರೆ they will always focus on the theory part more than the practical. Okay. But practical part ಬರುವಾಗ they will ask you to write the code. So they will give a table like this and they will ask you to write a code like this. Like, okay. Okay. So this DBMS cannot understand any other language. So we need a language. So SQL is a language. It's not a programming language, by the way. It's a query language. So it's a query language to communicate with the DBMS. So DBMS maintains all the database tables and everything. All the data is maintained by the DBMS. This is your entire DBMS. But to give command to the DBMS, you need a language called SQL. Okay. So SQL is further divided into 5 different things: DDL, DML, DQL, and DCL, and TCL. So data definition language, data manipulation language, data query language, data control language, and transaction control language. So under this DDL, you have create, you have drop, and you have alter. Okay. Under this DML, you have insert, update, delete, run. Okay, here you have only select. Select is the only one you have. From the select only select, join, where, after join, you can put on where, group by, having, order by, limit. Okay, so these are the clauses you will have. Under the QL only select is there. Under the select only you will have all the others. Okay, so under DCL you have grant and revoke. Okay, and at TCL you have commit, roll. Alright, so those are the clauses. All these are the clauses. Okay. Alright, so yeah. Apart from this, you don't have anything else in SQL. Okay. Anything will always starts with something like this. Anything you want to create, Okay, you always start with create. Okay, like this. Say for example, I'll not write all the syntaxes, just I will give a brief intro of what is create is gonna do. What you can do using a create, you can create. First, you can create a database. You can create tables. You can, yeah, whatever like this. Tables you can create, and then you can create index. You can create triggers. So you can create stored procedures. You can create views, and then you can also create functions. You can also create users. Okay. All right. So anything which you want to create, you can create all these things. And similarly, if you want to drop, you can drop all these things. And then if you want to alter something, what you can alter, see, alter has only four operations. One is add, modify, drop, you can rename. Okay. What you can add columns in a table. You can add constraints in a table. What you can modify, uh, you can modify the data types and you can modify the constraints as well. Later getting. What you can drop the columns. What you can rename, you can tables and columns. Okay.
So rename as
ಅದು
syntax
alias ಅದು.
alias.
ಹ್ಮ್.
ಅದು ಆಲ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ rename ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
ಹ್ಮ್. As is like aliasing, select query then. Yeah, before we go here, we'll discuss the data types. Missed that. Okay. So, what are data types? Data types are nothing but one column should always have one kind of data. It cannot be a mixture of data. So under the numerics, you first one is numerics. Under the numerics, we have integer, float. It will take a size and the precision value, or you can take a decimal size and the precision value. So boolean is there. Under the int, you have tiny int, small int, medium int, big int. So boolean is also there. So those are the integer. If I missed, let me know. So strings, you have characters or characters. You can put the size here. In or character. You can put the size here. You can put the text. Yeah, text. Yeah. Then you have enum. You'll have categories to mention here. Then what else is there? Binary is there. Or so those are the things which falls under string, date and time. You'll have date, time, date, time, year, time. All these things are there. And last one is the blob. Blob has only blob to store the files. Character in or character, text in binary word. Okay, so those are the data types. Okay, and then we have constraints. So what are constraints? Constraints are nothing but rules for the columns. Okay, so what are all constraints we have? We have primary key constraints, foreign key constraints, then we have unique, we have not null, we have default, we have check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, index, unsigned. So this is a data type which comes here, but you can put it as a constraint as well.
Constraints ಅಲ್ಲೂ 7 ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರಲ್ವಾ?
So here, if you don't want to take any negative values, you can make it as an unsigned. either for integer, float, or boolean. If you don't want negative values, you can make it
Answer.
as that. Yeah. So all these things are the constraints. So primary key, so I'll just write a no nulls, no duplicate, no duplicates. Foreign key to connect tables. What is unique? No duplicates, only no duplicates, no null. And what is this? Default value if if fail to add a value. Okay, check for a condition before insert. Index to improve performance. Okay, so those are the constraints and all these things. Okay, so this covers DDL. So all this data type and everything falls under DDL. All right. DML deals with inserting the rows. Okay, so insert helps you to insert a rows, update. You can insert single row or multiple rows. Okay, update. The main concern in the update is the where clause should be only primary key, foreign key, or unique key. So you have to use only those columns whenever you are doing an update on the rows or even on the delete like this. Okay. So yeah, update is used for updating a particular row or update a selected rows. So delete is also for deleting selected rows. Okay. And what is truncate? Deletes all the rows. So there is no constraints here. Okay. Now, when you are dealing with foreign keys, you will have on update and on delete. So on update, you can either put a cascade or set null. So this we have discussed. Yeah, on foreign keys. Okay, on foreign keys, you can do all these things.